Hey, on my Travel Wins podcast today is John Bonaventura. How are you doing today, John?
Fantastic, thank you.
I think you have one of the coolest jobs as an ex-football player, but I know there's ins and outs of it. What exactly is your official title?
Currently a Western Regional Scout for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
The Canadian Football League. It's awesome.
Canadian Football League, yes.
You know, and you have a storied history of with football and with the NFL, college, CFL, high school levels. How much traveling have you done through your career at all the different levels?
Oh, a lot of traveling. As an NFL scout, when I began, I started with 4 states, and in my 5th year, I had up to 10 different states throughout the Midwest. So lots of traveling.
Do you find it different? And I don't know, that's why I'm asking. As you throw around that you work for the NFL, do you tend to get different perks, or is it just you get treated like every other business traveler?
You pretty much get treated like every other business traveler, I assume. You know, I'm not in corporate America, but in the NFL, you know, in the Canadian League, you get your area, you have your schools or your teams, and then you just go. And you have a limited time, you know, whatever your calendar is, to hit all of your teams and your schools and evaluate a number of players at each stop. And then you're quickly back in the car or on a plane heading to the next town, next hotel, next rental car as quickly as you can, and staying within a budget, obviously, as all teams do, as I'm sure corporate America does as well.
You know, for myself, I'm an independent contractor, so everything it affects my direct bottom line. So I'm very, very conscientious of where I'm staying, what hotel, how much it costs, what are the rooms.
Correct. And then usually, you know, when you put in the time that we do, usually an organization will have something set up, say, with a Marriott or Hilton Properties or Avis or Hertz, you know, so you do get perks with that, you know, points. You develop some points. Different teams have different ways of expensing your travel. And some teams you put out the money or I put out the money, and then I do an expense report and get reimbursed. Correct. And then some organizations have a team card or a company card, and then everything just, you know, is direct billed to the organization. For me, you know, I bill it, I do it myself, and then turn in the expense report. So all of my travel, you know, the perk for me would be, you know, I get points. So I obtain the hotel points, and I obtain the Southwest points, so to speak, and then at the end of the year, when I have enough built up, and, you know, that helps in taking the family on a vacation. So it just depends on the organization. Other good things is that I get to go to basically almost any college football game in the country.
Yeah.
As long as, you know, it fits the schedule and you make the connections with the university's SID or football operations person, and so you get to see great games. You know, the Texas-Oklahoma or the Texas A&M Texas game or the Auburn-Alabama game. So those are quite exciting things that go along with the job.
Yeah, it's interesting you say all that, because I know when I talk to people in the Western industry, they feel the same way about my job. You know, and they're like, oh, you get to go to the rodeo and you get to, and I know several of the Cowboys, so I get to hang out with them and all that. And they're like, oh, my God, I'd do anything for your job. And I'm like, really? For me, it's just what I do. So, you know.
Sure. You know, and the same for me. And you know, when you talk to people or friends on the outside of it, they're like, it's the ultimate job, you know, as a guy. You know, you get to talk football, you get to watch football, you get to go see football, and, you know, your life revolves around football. You know, you get to see great players, and you interact with some of the greatest coaches, you know, in the game.
Yeah.
But the part that, you know, they don't understand is the travel, you know, the in and out of hotels and rental cars and the hours, numerous hours away from your family.
That's what I always tell people. It's the exact same thing. It's like, yeah, you see me at the rodeo because maybe I should take more pictures of me driving 8 hours in LA traffic.
Right.
You know, trying to get out to go see my accounts, and then having my store. I actually have a store in Maui, and they canceled my appointment the day I got there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just flew 6 hours. How sick are you? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
right.
I got hotels already booked. I got car rentals. I have to eat.
Right.
And if she doesn't buy anything, I don't make any money.
Right. Right. And then, we have, with the scouting, the number of, you got to work your calendar and your schedule so that you understand the number of schools that you have and the number of players that you're evaluating. And because those reports have to be in by, a certain time. Usually it's within a week. And, if you have too many of the bigger schools or too many prospects, I mean, you're in your hotel room until 1, 2 in the morning typing because, you've got a deadline of getting those reports in so the organization can set their schedule, because your GMs and your head coaches and your personnel directors, they have to get out to see the top players or what they consider they would like to have on their team, to put on the draft board. And they're waiting on you. So their schedule kind of determines how, quickly and efficiently I can get my stuff done.
What is your, I was talking to somebody that works for the NFL, and, they're busier, and administratively, they're busier after the season, because they're getting the combine, the draft, all, and then all the admin stuff.
Sure, but and there's two different sides of that. On the pro side, they're busy, I think, probably a little more during the season of evaluating, NFL or CFL competition, your current competition and players who may be coming up in free agency. On the college side, you're working the college schedule. So from August when practice starts through December, you're out hammering and hitting the road and getting your reports in. So those, over the holiday season, you're in the office. You're having those draft meetings, the combine meetings. The team is working together to stack players, finding out pertinent information, to help decide what you want to do. When you go to Indianapolis, you have a limited number of players that you can interview.
Yeah.
So it's putting all that together. Sure. And then, and then the cross-checking that you do once you start getting the bowl season, getting all these different bowl games, the all-star games and bowl games, and cross-checking players, and it stays quite busy.
It's a year-round sport now.
Oh yeah, no question. No year-round sport, year-round evaluation due to social media and the internet and networking. I was just talking with a gentleman today in the CFL, of access to film. Before you'd have to go to a school. When I was a college athlete and got into this business, I remember seeing NFL scouts coming to school and have their own projector.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And setting up that reel-to-reel film. And now, you go into a school and you can break down certain players and look at certain things, and the trips are more efficient. And now you have so many games on television that in your hotel room now, you have conferences that play on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. So there's games throughout the week. It's just not a Friday, Saturday thing anymore.
And but even for the CFL, I mean, you're looking at D1, D2, and D3, right?
Yeah, we look at everyone. We're to be honest, for myself, is you look at the NFL guys. You'd love to have the NFL talent that just didn't make it for whatever reason, and they become free agents, but they were good enough to be in an NFL camp. Those are the top level players. The NFL does such a great job. Their scouting department. So the best of the best get invited, to training camps, and they invite like 90, and they have to get to 53. And then they'll invite 10 back, but you're still looking at roughly 30 players per team that are out on the street as free agents once the NFL begins their season. So evaluating them and having access to those players is important to us. But at the same time, yes, we're also looking for those guys at the smaller school that maybe didn't quite have the measurable for the position and maybe didn't get invited to an NFL camp based on height or size or maybe speed for the position.
Right.
But are still at that level, still good enough, high-quality football player that could come to the Canadian Football League and make a difference.
And maybe it's just my perception, but I would think there are some players that would lend themselves better to the CFL rules, being, in my opinion, a little more wide open.
Sure, absolutely it does. But when you're looking at the the receiver position, because we have that waggle motion, that forward motion, that does help some receivers.
Longer field. I mean,
wider field, longer field. Sure, absolutely. All of that can help. Defensive position. Sometimes you just have high quality football players that don't fit the physical measurables for the NFL. You may be able to get away with a slightly undersized linebacker that has tremendous athletic ability and speed and quickness, but maybe not the overall size for an NFL season, and they get released, but they can take that athletic ability and transform it and be a high-quality CFL player.
Exactly.
Yeah, the CFL is a great league, and it's not a league that just has, the guys who can't play in the NFL. It's not that, and there's been plenty of NFL players who have come up there that we've scouted and we've liked, and they've come up and haven't been able to make the transition.
I mean, for me, I'm older, but for me, Warren Moon was with the Eskimos.
Sure.
Was like, a high-quality college player, goes to Edmonton, wins a couple Grey Cups, and then comes to the NFL and becomes a Hall of Fame player at the NFL level.
Sure. He was a guy that, had their measurables, but maybe they just didn't quite had, all of the skill work developed,
Yeah. And he turned it worked out great for him, obviously.
Yeah, sure. And it does for a lot of players.
Yeah.
It does for a lot of players.
With the amount of traveling you're doing, John, and like I can completely relate to it. Everyone thinks it's cool, but how do you balance the family life and being on the road life?
Well, the first couple of years, it was really about, grinding, learning the grind, learning how it works, learning to, your time management. So the first couple of years, it's tough. It's tough on your family. It's tough on, being away, especially if you have young children. But after that, you learn some tricks of the trade, and you learn how to balance your schedule so you're not overloaded at certain times of the year. And then, you work the time to either you get home, and there's, like I said, now with the internet and social media and whatnot, there's some things that you can do while you're at home. And then sometimes, I've been able to work to where I'm doing something and I can bring the family with me.
Oh, nice.
To a certain city. Once I had an opportunity when we were in Toronto to go up to training camp and help Toronto when I was with them a few years back of evaluating their team during preseason. And I was able to bring my family for 4 days up to Toronto, which was fantastic because, we are able to go see things like the Hockey Hall of Fame in the city of Toronto, and it was a great trip for us.
Yeah, it is. I love Toronto.
Yeah, so it's as you go and develop your skill set, and then you find it. When I was a youngster, when I first started, I would show up to a university, at 6:30 in the morning and ready to start watching film, and there were already, older veteran scouts in the room. Like,
exactly.
How did you get here? I didn't even see a car in the parking lot. And well, I took, my wife's here. It's a big city like Dallas, and there's 3 or 4 colleges that we can see here. So I'm going to be here for a week. So instead of me going home, I flew my wife here, and I scout all day, and then we meet up for dinner, and she goes and sees sightseeing, and it's like a mini vacation. So you start to learn things from veterans and how you can incorporate your family as much as possible.
Yeah, for some reason, my wife's schedule always opens up when I need to go to my Hawaii accounts.
Yeah, exactly, right? It works out that way.
She's like, when are you going? I'm like, well, what does it matter? She goes, well, I'm available. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to Rapid City, South Dakota. Man, I'm busy.
Exactly, and that's what you have to take that into account, with the organization, in your time. Some teams are really, really great about making sure that you spend time with family, and that helps.
That was the question I was going to ask you too. Does it vary by team? Because I know like the company I work for is great with family time, and they don't have a problem with it, and they actually encourage it. But I know I've talked to other sales reps within my industry, and not so much. So
yeah, I think like with any corporation or any business, is philosophy of the organization. Some are really good about it, and others are not. But that goes from top to bottom in anything that they do.
Yeah.
With any employee or any player or any contract negotiation or, whatever it might be. Yeah, there's just different philosophies like with any business. But for the most part, sure. The teams know what you do as a scout, the time that you're out. And then when you do have the opportunity to do some family stuff, they make sure that you get it. That for the most part, my experience in the NFL and in the CFL is that the teams, are generally pretty good, like doing things for the family and understanding.
Yeah. But, it's interesting. I'm trying to think back, but I can imagine that if you're a single young guy just out of college or whatever, and you get a scouting job or a job for the NFL, you're all about the job.
Sure.
And so you don't care about the things. You don't ask or find out. But as you get wife and you get kids and that type of thing, those become more of the priority.
Oh, sure. And people, now that I'm raising a family and scouting as much as I can to work it in, into our family lifestyle, I've had people ask, or young football coaches or young players ask, John, it'd be such a great job. I said, it's a great job if you're young and single.
Yeah.
And if you're older and your kids are already grown and off to college, it's great.
Yeah.
If you're in that situation when you're young and single and you don't have any family responsibilities, and you can just be on the road and scout and hit all your teams and your players and go to all these great, like I said, you can go to any college football game in the country. So every Saturday you could be at one of the top games that everybody is piling into the local. Yeah. The guys that are watching it at home and having the barbecues, or at the, your local wing place and gathering hall to watch the games. You're actually there, and you got a great seat. Most of the time you're in the press box. You're doing some work, you're doing some evaluation,
but you're still watching football. Yeah.
You're still watching football. You're watching great games. You got a great seat, and you go from team to team, and school to school, or whatever it may be. And then when you're older, and your kids are gone,
Yeah, I'm a recent empty nester, so.
Yeah. So now, all that time opens up. You're not going to the school play, or, your child's Friday night football game, or, your daughter's basketball game, whatever it is that they're doing that you need to do as a dad. That time is now freeing up, and you can get back on the road and spend more time, and you're not stressing or worrying about getting home for those special occasions, the birthdays or the school concerts. And, there's always that opportunity, like, we had just discussed, that instead of going home, you have your wife fly and meet you, in those cities like New Orleans or Dallas or San Francisco. I mean, now many vacations, I do my stuff during the day, and we'll meet up and have a great time in the evening, and, like little vacations.
And I get to do that now, and that I actually try to book in extra time, a half day, or, instead of taking the 12 o'clock flight home at noon, maybe I'll take the 8 o'clock flight. That way I can go see a museum or go see,
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely.
The surroundings.
Yeah. And I tell my kids now, through the scouting experience, we try to spend our summers or time off, and I take them. We try to go to different places because I learned that as a scout. If I would have understood history the way that I do now as a scout, of seeing things live by going to these different cities, when I was in high school, I would have been a much better student in history.
I hear you.
I mean, when I was, when you have the ability to go see Mount Rushmore, or go see the Alamo, or go see these famous places. And out here in California, I was going to the Dallas Cowboy training camp, and where I was staying, I took a back way and went by the Reagan Library.
Yeah, right. Simi Valley. Yep.
Yeah, in Simi Valley. I mean, to see that, I was like, wow. This is.
Did you go inside it and see the airport, the airplane, and all that?
No, I have not gone into all of it because once I got to see some of it, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna rebook this trip and bring my family. I think it's something my kids would love to see.
Yeah, and it's very. I mean, to see Air Force One and be able to walk through it.
Yeah.
Indoors, forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter actually took me to that. She lives up in the valley, and she went to Cal State Northridge, and then she still lives in the valley and works in the valley.
Uh-huh.
And I went up there to visit her today, and I go, "What do you want to do?" She goes, "Do I go to Reagan Library?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." She had been there once before, and I was like, "Yeah, it was awesome." And there's so many things like that around.
Sure.
I mean, you just got to have the time to stop and look.
Right. And then to be able to get out and do that helps you as a scout as well. When my first couple of years, I had some older scouts that really took me under their wing and taught me a lot of stuff. And I had asked one of them one day, we were in Texas, and I said, what are you doing today? And he goes, well, I think I'm going to take a couple hours. I'm going to go watch a movie at the mall. I said, movie? He goes, hey, if you just sit in your room all the time and just type, and you don't take any time to recharge the batteries and get out and just see what's going on in the world, he goes, it makes it difficult, So I had some guys really point some stuff out, and to get out and go see a library or go see a museum for just an hour or two, and then you come back, you just feel great, and you're ready to sit down and get back to work on that evaluations and put your reports together so you make the best evaluation of a player.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more because my wife thinks it's weird, but when I'm out for a week or a week and a half, I'll go to a movie theater and just watch a movie by myself. And I always watch the one she wouldn't want to watch anyway. So
right.
And but yeah, you're right. It makes me feel like I'm not just sitting in a hotel room. You know,
it gets monotonous, you know, and then you start to lose focus, and then you may not present the evaluation of the player in the best light, because you're just like, maybe, hey, I'm just getting this done. I've been here for so long. I'm just going to get this done. And one of the things I learned early, from reading reports in front of the organization is how excited you are when you write and you read. And it comes across in the way that you type, the words that you use and the way you phrase things. And I found it was very important because, your reports as a scout is a picture. You're painting a picture, especially as an area scout, and like now for myself with Winnipeg, they're in Manitoba. And they've got their own stuff to do up there with a team throughout the year. And for me to be out here on the West Coast and go look at a player and evaluate them, I'm sending that, via email or whatever it is to the organization. And someone has to read that, whether it's a position coach or the GM or the offensive or defensive coordinator on a player that I'm recommending. And whatever they read has to paint a picture for that guy who's not here and has never seen that player.
Yeah, they have to. I would think it would help over time that they have to know how you view players, so they kind of already have a sense.
Sure. And you go through some of that, like at training camp when you sit with them. I found that it's very important to go into position meetings or offensive and defensive coordinator meetings to sit with each coach to understand the way that they teach and what they're looking for, what the organization is looking for. Because you can find players. There's a lot of good football players out there. But what players best fit your organization for what your team is trying to do?
Yeah.
And when with the coaching staff, and you'll rate every player. I rank all your players, and there's some really good ones, but they're just not maybe
what you need.
What you need. Are you more of a spread team? You look at receivers slightly different. Some like the bigger, taller, physical, and some organizations want guys that are route runners. Some defensive coordinators want guys that are pass rushers. They can get off the ball and are passer. And some may want a guy that's a two-gap run stopper.
Yeah.
They're both great players, but one fits your team better. So to spend time with the team and understand what they want helps me as a scout to go out and find guys, evaluate players and recommendations for our team, and then at the same time, spending time with them, they get to know me and then my football knowledge and then the way that I write. So
exactly.
when they read the report, we can be on the same page. We're talking the same language.
That's got to be key in that, as a remote scout.
Yeah.
So
when
your kids get older, do you hope to do more traveling, or how will that change what your goals are?
Yeah. Well, you always want to. For me, is that you always want to be around the best of the best. I think that's the way I've always been. I've always wanted to be around the top level. I mean, I enjoy what I really do, but I like being home with my children. So when my boys, I have 2 young sons, so when they take off to college and do their thing, I would most definitely would like to return, to whether it's a full-time front office position, in the NFL level or, the CFL level or, at one of the top, Power 5 or a top university in the country. It's just what I love to do. It's what it's not work to me.
Yeah.
I can get up all day and do football and evaluate and do all that kind of stuff and not really worry. It's fun. If I didn't have a college tuition and a mortgage to handle, I'd do it for free.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably have a few when your boys get.
Yeah. And that's what I tell kids, now with my sons one in high school, one in middle school, is, just find something you love to do. Whatever you would do today on your day off that you just love to do, that's what you want to do for a living. Just find a way to make money at it. And for me, it's been football. It's always been football, from the coaching aspect to the scouting aspect. It's what I like. And sure, I'd love to be at the highest level again at some point and competing for those championships. You know, that's
Sure.
the fun part of it, right? That's why we do it.
Well, Winnipeg got close this year.
What's that?
The Winnipeg got close this year.
Yeah, we got close.
And they lost to the team that won it all. So
we lost to the team in the Western Finals that won it all. And, you know, throughout the season had been the best team in the CFL throughout the year. You know, they had a couple of down moments, but, you know, they rallied and got it together at the right time. But, yeah, we grew. I definitely think for sure the Winnipeg Blue Bombers grew as an organization this year. The coaches did an outstanding job, you know, with the players and the players coming together. And, you know, we're looking forward to next year. Obviously, there'll be some changes. You know, you always look to improve. Free agency will play a part of that for everyone, for us, you know, for a team and the player. And, you know, we'll get it together and try to make that run next year, for sure.
It's interesting that you're talking about. Hey, I had a talk when my youngest daughter graduated college last year, and we were talking about careers.
Yeah.
You know, and she's a musician. She graduated in screenwriting, and she got a really good job right out of college. That's not exactly what she wanted to do. And I said, look, I go, especially in the entertainment industry, I go, you can do what you love and might not make a lot of money at it, or you can get a job that's going to provide you the lifestyle you want, so you can go out and have fun and make a lot of money. But the best is the combination.
Correct.
You know, I mean, for me, I've had jobs I didn't necessarily like, but you know, they fed my family, they paid the rent, you know.
Sure.
So now I'm very blessed to enjoy my job and make a lot of money. So
yeah. Oh, I love what I do. I tell young kids all the time, you know, I've never really worked a day in my life, to be honest. I mean, I've had some long days. And, you know, a lot of work to get done, but I love what I do. You know, it's fun. It's fun for me.
How did you even get started as a scout? I mean, how did that even come up?
Well, I you know, went to San Francisco State, you know, for football, played football, D2 school for a legend guy, you know, in Vic Rowan. And I knew I wanted to stay in football and into coaching. I didn't have the physical stature to make a living at it. They wanted to play college football, so it was a D2 school. Picked Vic in San Francisco State because of the history, you know, the type of football they were doing there, the type of coaches. I mean, prior to my arrival, you know, you had Andy Reid had coached there, Dirk Cutter, you know, Mike Holmgren, Bob Toledo. So I chose it, and then he got me into coaching, and then he retired, and then I went on to, as a graduate assistant, coach at the University of Nevada under Chris Alt, which was an incredible opportunity.
Great program,
success. Yeah, great success, great teacher for me, taught me a lot of good things. And was in the coaching side, and then I met a guy, Jim Kreiner, who's coached all over the place, you know, college and NFL Europe and whatnot. And this was in 2000 when the XFL started.
Oh, okay.
And I knew Jim, and I got in touch with him, and he had said, I was coaching high school football. I had been at Sonoma State. They dropped football, so I started teaching in Southern California, waiting to see what the next college opportunity would be, and this league started. And I got in touch with Jim, and he had said, you know, I've got a coaching staff, but I need an ops guy. I need a guy that understands what coaches need, personnel. He goes, we're only going to have one scouting, you know, personnel guy, and I need someone that can help me with football, help with scouting, help with, you know, the ins and outs of everyday football activity that I need done. Because it'd be a great opportunity for you to get in, at least you're in the organization, and it'd be a little bit different than coaching, but it'd be good. So I took the position, and then the league folded.
Yeah, and everybody involved with it. Yeah. Yeah,
so we were all out of jobs, and Jim had coached with Coach Vermeil and Carl Peterson, had a long history with those guys all the way back to UCLA. And Jim had been doing some NFL stuff for them, and a position came open in scouting, and he, you know, obviously working with Coach Vermeil and Carl Peterson with the Chiefs, it said, hey, I got a guy. You know, he was in my ops department. He's been a coach. He gets it. You know, you should bring him in. And they called, and I went on an interview, and they said, okay, we'll give you the opportunity to get into scouting. And it was different for me, from coaching. It's a different aspect of the game, and I felt that someday to be, at the top level, I wanted to know all of it because I knew the coaching side, I knew the football part, but I didn't understand the scouting type deal. And to get into that and learn that just has made me a better coach. The coaching side, maybe it's made me a better scout because now I understand both sides of it. The
full spectrum, yeah.
Correct. And then now being involved in the Canadian League, I've been able to understand contract more. I've been able to sit in on more of the contract negotiations. So with players, so that's helped a lot. So now understanding the whole gamut, because as any business, when you're in the football part, you're like, why can't we get players?
Yeah.
And then and then the guys on the playing side, well, why can't you coach? So I've seen both sides of it. It's been a great experience. So now to go have the opportunity at some point get with an organization, I've experienced all of it.
Now, does that put you in line more for a general manager position or VP of operations, or?
Yeah.
Just because you are more well-rounded now?
Yeah. But, I also think if there's an opportunity, if I was to go back into coaching and then wanted to become a head coach, that I understand all of it. Even if I was at a head coach of a university, at the college level, I would understand, hey, this is the type of player that we need to get for our school. This is how we go about evaluating talent so we get the best talent for our school. Understanding, the scholarship, the budget part, and even as a GM of understanding, hey, this is what my head coach wants. This is the type of player we got to get, but this is the budget and the money that I have to deal with. Because, as a coach, sometimes I'm like, hey, why can't I get this guy? Why can't we get this player? He'd help us. Yeah, but you know what? We got a salary cap. He doesn't fit.
Yeah.
With the Canadian League, we have the ratio. You have to have a number of Canadians.
Yeah.
Right? So even though there may be an American or an international type player that you want to bring in and help, does that player change the ratio? How do you deal with the ratio?
And is it worth it? Yeah.
Can it even work? So that's helped. It's helped understand all of it,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it sounds like, going from coach to scout and getting more of the meeting sides of it and negotiations, that really kind of sets you up for even a bigger picture.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's even something you'd want to do. It just seems like natural progression.
Sure. And you learn in this business, you kind of go with it. You set your goals and you go with how it flows, and try to get there. But like I said, whether it was becoming a coordinator or a head coach at some level, or becoming a personnel director or a GM or an athletic director, they're all at that top level of the profession, and understanding all of it helps.
Yeah, it's almost a necessity. It's just kind of cool to hear, because, you probably get this every time you talk to somebody that finds out what you do. It's like, how'd you go? Oh, you did a great job. It's like, it wasn't like an overnight success is what I would say. Right.
Oh, no question. In the locker room in Nevada, there's a sign that says, preparation is when luck, luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's being prepared and then, finding the right person or the right opportunity. I had applied to NFL teams. I applied to 32 NFL teams for 10 years and got 32 no's for 10 years. And,
exactly.
And I just continued and prepared myself. And then when I had that opportunity, through the correct, the right connection with the right people, and I went into Kansas City and had a very long interview. It was an all-day interview and meeting with coaches and scouts and personnel directors and the GM, and, it worked. My knowledge and my ability fit the narrative of what they wanted at the time, and, it was a great opportunity. It was just fantastic. And that's kind of how you get there. But the good ones, like in any profession, it doesn't happen overnight,
Right.
It just doesn't. And people rarely understand what goes in behind the scenes, the number of hours that you work and study and prepare, and the number of no's, that you have to go through to keep doing it,
But that's that's exactly what I had to tell my daughters as they're graduating, because, look, you're looking at me or you're looking at this person. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Correct.
I've yet to, out of all the people I've interviewed for my show, I've yet to meet the overnight success that just woke up one day and got their dream job and did it ever since.
Sure. Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's always.
And usually when those do happen, the overnight success, the success doesn't last long. There's not much longevity in it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's exactly right. I just haven't met, I'm trying to think. I don't know of anybody that just woke up one day and got their dream job and have done it ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'd need to meet more people. I keep meeting the people that go, yeah, I've been doing this for 25 years or 20 years. And
yeah, and then on the other side of that is I'm still really close with the guys, that are still going. They're in their 80s. One of the greatest memories I have with working in the NFL with Kansas, meeting quarterback coach, Kenny Meyer. And Kenny taught me a lot about quarterback evaluation. And he was well into his 70s at the time, but he was on Bear Bryant's staff. He coached Kenny Stabler, Joe Namath, and then
wow.
had retired from the NFL, worked with, Joe Montana and several others in the NFL, and retired, and was still a close friend of Coach Vermeil's, and came to our training camp, which was great because he helped mentor me in the quarterback position. But I'm like, I could still go to training camps and evaluate and be around this game and enjoy my life, even well into my 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we get older, I'm saying, but you start thinking about that. In your 20s and 30s, at least I wasn't going, hey, in my 60s, what can I be doing?
Right.
But yeah, now that I get older, I'm like, you start thinking, do I want to be on the road, 150 days a year when I'm 65?
Sure. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And probably when I'm that age, probably not. But yeah, do I, have met the right people and have, kept the communication and the friendships going to where maybe there's a young scout that I can, help out today who's in his 20s, and then, 15 years, 20 years from now, he's a GM and I'm 80, and I'm like, hey, can I come to camp and hang out? And,
Yeah.
Sure, come on up,
Yeah.
That's kind of what you start thinking about later on, just that you stay in it, but just because you do enjoy it so much.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, hey, bud, John, I truly appreciate the time.
Sure.
Fellow traveler, the free time is a valuable thing, so I appreciate it. Is there any way for people to reach out to you? What's the best way for people to kind of find out? Like, if one of my listeners like, man, that's something I'd love to do, or I would like to get involved, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, I mean, there's my phone number's out there. I have an email address that's connected to my profile. So same way you found me.
Okay. So
yeah,
just on
probably be
LinkedIn.
the easiest way. Yeah.
I'll make sure to put that out there. And I know I've had a few calls where people go, hey, can I reach out to them again? I know they don't mind. So.
Yeah, I don't mind. If I can share and help someone grow, absolutely.
You got it. Well, I appreciate it, and I'll definitely let you know when I post it up. And
sure.
So much appreciate your time on a Saturday. So.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks,
anytime. All right.
All right, buddy. Thanks, bud.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.